Brandon Richardson, thanks for coming on the podcast, buddy.
My pleasure, man. Good to see you.
I apologize for not getting your full episode out yet. It is long, a lot of editing, and the whole world has changed a crap ton since then, so I thought we'd just do this.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, man. It's a whole new world since that first episode we shot.
It really is. So getting right into it, how has this whole coronavirus COVID thing affected you and your family personally?
I mean, obviously there's some stress involved, especially around the business situation. I've got a whole team that my partner and I have spent the last 6 years kind of building and training and developing, and we were, like everyone, caught off guard by this. So doing what we have to there to try and make sure we get through. On a personal level, we had a friend of ours let us move into a home that is typically a vacation home. When all of his rentals disappeared, we worked out a deal, and so we were able to upgrade our living situation to something that has made the quarantine much easier.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was nice. Nice of him. I think it was a win-win. We have a home under construction in Pilata that thankfully is moving forward, but we needed somewhere to be for a few months, and so this has made it easier on that front.
That's good stuff. So business-wise, are you freaking out? Are you worried? Or are you just kind of in what mode are you in right now?
Well, I mean, I've kind of gone through all the stages, I think, at this point. We're trying to take a conservative approach and yet remain optimistic. It's interesting. We've seen continued interest. We've actually seen continued sales. There are contracts being written through our office right now, which surprises me, but for various reasons, people are still wanting to buy and invest. We have a lot of people that are, very much interested in investing, but physically are not in the country and aren't sure when they're going to get here. So that, of course, pushes the pause button on those types of deals. And then we've got, plenty of your more aggressive investors looking for good deals. We haven't seen a ton of, or very much of any kind of price reductions as of yet. So we're just kind of in wait and see mode in a lot of ways.
What's your prediction on how this thing's going to play out? Because you've been through one big crash here through the 07, 08, 09, 10 debacle, and now you have a different type of situation here. So I'm interested in hearing kind of your predictions and thoughts and ramblings on the differences between that situation versus this one, and Nosara now versus Nosara then.
Right. I mean, I think I'm asked this question, fairly often. I think people are looking for anything to kind of base decisions on. The community is such a different place than it was back then. We've had so much growth and development, and so much more brand awareness. The overall Nosara brand is so much more well known across the world than it was at that time. And I think all of that helps build stability and helps us. There's lots of people that are in the States that are eager to get back here as soon as they're able to. So I think that bodes well for us. So that's kind of some of the differences. I think, unfortunately, this is hardest on the small businesses, especially your lifestyle businesses, people that are doing something that they're passionate about, and it allows them to live where they want to live, but not necessarily, save huge amounts of money. All those guys, all those friends of ours are probably in for a tough ride, would be my guess.
Yeah. Geez, I'd say that I would argue that's probably the hardest part about all of this, even above not surfing, even above having to sit at home, is watching the casualties unfold and knowing that some people aren't going to make it through it. And that's tough to see. And I know that happens in every place in the world. There's ups and downs, but this is a very unique situation. The whole world's kind of been hit by this, and it crosses boundaries. And I don't know. Sure. It's really interesting situation. I always figured it would be earthquake or tsunami or something like that.
I always
didn't
figured,
expect pandemic.
I always figured that it was never going to change. It was always just going to be good gravy train the whole way up. No, yeah, obviously the pandemic, I think, caught everyone off guard. I mean, I think what makes this situation unique was just how sudden it was. I mean, we're talking about almost one day to the next. Obviously it was a couple weeks maybe, but it sure felt like one day to the next. Yeah, I think one of the great things about Nosara is its willingness and desire to rally in our challenging times, whether it's flooding or fires or whatever the case is. This community never hesitates to rally to help each other out. And
it's one of my favorite things about this place, actually, is the walls come down. Like, you may compete during the day, but if there's a big, huge fire or a flood or earthquake, people come together really quick. And that's that unifying factor has been really nice about living here for a long time.
For sure.
It's one of the reasons we're still here.
Yeah. I want to I know you've been playing a role and supporting as well, and we're agreed on this, but the team behind the Nosara Food Bank has just been phenomenal. They stepped up to the plate so quickly. They foresaw what was coming so early on, and I just am so grateful to them. And we continue to support them privately and through Wanderlust. We are working on a send out to our mail list to try and get people to send in some money. Nosara,
it doesn't take much either. Just a little bit goes a long way for all those efforts.
Yeah.
We should give a shout out to Joellen and Matt and Jill. I don't know if you saw one of the episodes that we did earlier, but while the food bank was getting set up to actually do the distributions, which just started, they were even doing a sponsorship program like immediately, just within a couple of days. So it's just another case of people in Nosara stepping up and doing really good things really fast.
Yeah, definitely. That's always impressive to me. For sure.
All right, I'm going to hit you on a sore subject here. This one's going to hurt. The beach is closing. How do you feel about that? When are they going to reopen, and how are you dealing with not surfing or being able to get into the water?
Okay, so I mean, I understand the need to close the beaches. I think it was a great call for the Costa Rican government to do that. They had to take steps to keep Semana Santa from happening, or it really could have been a very different situation in Costa Rica. I think they did that effectively. Obviously, as a surfer and somebody that spends a good amount of time in the ocean, it's hard on me like everyone else. But we, made the call that I needed to be, and by default, my family, kind of team players, and making sure that message was out to the world that our beaches are closed and don't come here. I think how
about now though? Semana Santa's over, and I'm digging a little deeper here, man. I want to know.
Yeah. I mean,
how are you dealing with it?
I'm dealing with it by, physically exhausting myself in other ways, whether it's running or exercising or whatever. I think that, there's very much a mental health component to these types of situations. People are under a lot of stress for various reasons, and the beach, whether you're a surfer or just going for a walk or whatever it is one of the few outlets that we have as a community. It's hot. It's not fun to go for hikes. The mountain bike industry is exploding right now, which I think is great. People are finding other outlets, but it really, they need to find a creative way to ease people back onto the beach and give that access. Hawaii has closed the beaches but kept the ocean open, so you can cross the beach to swim or to surf, but you can't linger on the sand. I think that makes sense. If you're going to open restaurants and have people social distance there's no reason not to open the beach and force people to social distance on the beach. It doesn't make sense to me to split those hairs. But
restaurants just reopened, and they're, I think, at the 50% capacity.
Correct.
And spreading people out. That just happened.
Yep.
So you're a proponent of, well, go to the beach and run straight to the water, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think the fear. Well, let's be clear. I'm not encouraging people to go against whatever the law is. I think listen, as surfers, a big part of our identity is that we are outliers. We do view ourselves for the most part as a counterculture, and it is inherent for us to want to break the rules or creatively work around the rules. In this case, there's been big backlash in the community, I think justifiably to some degree leading up to that. Me, I'm not a big fan of Facebook. I think it brings out the worst in people. I think that it's just too easy to get carried away. It's like people stuck in traffic in their car with the windows rolled up. Everyone's a badass. It's the same thing. People are hiding behind the keyboard and they're saying
You're not a
things.
fan of the keyboard warriors, Brandon?
I'm not. I think people say things and treat people in ways that they would never ever do if they were face to face. And I think that would be my guideline to people who feel motivated to post their opinions on Facebook. Is this something you would say to this person if they were sitting there? And I think, if they're being honest, a whole lot of that would be not said.
Well, that's part of where this podcast came from, as you know.
Right.
I just got tired of it. Same fights every 90 days. We fight about this for a little while, then we fight about that, then we fight about that, and it just started circling year after year after year. And I finally, I'm just going to start bringing people in and sit them down and ask them questions directly.
It's a shame because it's such a powerful communication tool, and especially in a situation like this where people are disconnected, the ability, my daughter, who's raised much more in that social media generation, she's surviving this, because her social world is in some ways intact through social media. Right. It seems to be the 30 and over crowd who can't seem to contain themselves and just puke all over it, and I can't stand it. It makes me, it makes my low level or high level anxiety flare when I start reading comments, and it's just better for me to stay away from it.
The one good, and I agree with you, social media. Well, I've rambled on it for hours and hours on this podcast before, so I won't do it here. But the one good from it, or the main good from it, I think, is when it does unite people. There's a fire, or there's a flood, or there's a something that does get the word out quickly, and I think that's positive. But that being said, a lot of people have a lot of extra time right now, so we do have the internet, so people can still communicate. You and I are doing this right now thanks to the internet, right. And so there's some positives in there, but we all miss the beach. So back to the beach. When's your prediction? When's it going to open? When are you and I going to surf again?
I mean, I'm deeply hopeful that by May 1st they have come up with at least some kind of creative solution to allow people back on the beach, even if it's in some kind of restricted capacity. I mean, I do think that there, in some ways, is still a bit of a threat of, people from San Jose wanting to rush out to the beaches, either whatever, to score empty waves or just to escape the city or whatever it is. And I think, to me, that's still a concern, that the Costa Rica hasn't had a huge amount of cases, but the bulk by far have been in the Central Valley. And if it is brought out to the coastlines, then it just makes everything that much worse. So I'm hopeful that in the next 2 weeks we'll be allowed back in the water. It makes sense to me that, again, if they can keep patrol to keep people off the beach, they could allow people on the beach, but under some kind of restricted use that still keeps it safe.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We definitely don't have the manpower to control it effectively. But that's a tough one, man, because if you open it up a little bit, that could snowball into a problem, or it could work perfectly well. I don't really know, but that's a tough one.
Right. Our beaches typically are, if people will give up hanging out for sunset, other than that, it's usually too hot to really be comfortable to hang out in a group on the beach. And so, yeah, I think it's doable. I mean, they're patrolling to keep people off the beach completely right now, but
the 5 p.m. curfew, maybe that's it. If you have the 5 p.m. curfew, sunsets later. That's a really good point that you bring up.
I would take 5 5:30. The beach is only open from 5:30 to, I don't know, 10. I'm okay with that. I don't know. I think there's solutions. I think
there are, but we're talking so much smack. Who the heck knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. I do hope that May 1, they let us back.
May 1st, for one of our, historically one of our worst months surf-wise. At least it won't be too terribly crowded.
Right. You know what? I mean, I'm dying to surf, but I'd take a swim. I'd take, anything right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I understand. You just need to get wet. Well, you're not alone on that one. A whole bunch of us are out there. Is there anything else like you'd like to get out there? Anything that's bothering you or you're liking that you're seeing, or anything that you want to say while you have this platform?
I mean, I think now that, some of the local businesses are going to be opening up, people who are in a position to should get out there and support them however they can. I think going to restaurants and helping those guys through this, a lot of them have been trying to do takeout food, which I think is, great. But the restaurant,
they're getting hammered. They're in a tough spot. You're absolutely right.
And same, surf shops, Ololaya, buy some coffee from Robbie, all that. I think I guess, for me is I would love for this to be an opportunity for the community to rally and support each other and ease back on the the Facebook attacks. I think it's I think that would be my suggestion and hope of what we see.
Hey, you did something kind of cool that with your housing, because all the short-term vacation rentals basically got destroyed, and now you have a nice house that's getting clean. No, that's staying.
All right, say that again.
What I was gonna say was, that was hilarious. It was what I was gonna say was, you did something pretty cool, and that the house that you moved into, all of the vacation rentals canceled. You needed a house to live in. You connected with, let's just say it. You connected with Dennis and made some lemonade out of some lemons.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we could figure out ways to do that for the small businesses that are trying to get through, because I think that's going to be our heaviest casualty is the really small business that's selling just a very basic item, and without traffic, they don't exist.
Yeah. I mean, we, Gato came by with a trunk full of pipas the other day, so we loaded up on pipas from Gato, and I mean, people, those small businesses are going to have to get creative and adapt for sure, but obviously consumers who have some cash that can continue to support, it just makes a huge difference. It gives everybody a fighting chance, I think.
Another prediction: how long do you think it's going to be while the borders are closed and planes are not flying? I know I'm not holding you to nothing. I just want to know what your guess is.
I mean, the U.S. Embassy sends out a daily email if you're on their list, and apparently some of the larger airlines are allowing people to book flights in May. To me, it's just a question of the practicalities of it. On one hand, it's the same conversation going on in the States. On the one hand, we need business, we need tourism in the economy. On the other hand, it doesn't make sense to take unnecessary risk of reinfecting or making the infection around the country worse.
Around the world. I mean, planes fly around the world every day normally.
Right. So I don't know, my most optimistic really is I think I'm hoping by June or worst case July, there's some kind of protocol that lets people come back in, even if it's, even if you have to self-quarantine for a couple of weeks or something like that. I think there's plenty of people that would want to come back here and commit to that just to be here versus wherever else they are.
Yeah, I think you're right. The internet cut us off earlier, but you had made a pretty great point that someone living in a city or in an apartment right now without much space, getting down here sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we'll see a pretty big shift. You know, and I think ultimately that could be a big win for Costa Rica in terms of jumpstarting the economy here. Is I think that this crisis is leading people to do some deep, you know, reflecting on values and what they're prioritizing in their lives. And Costa Rica and Nosara in particular consistently answers those questions. You know, the guy that was waiting another 5 or 10 years to make the move or retire or whatever it is, I think there's a big chance that he could be recognizing that maybe sooner is better.
I think you're right. Though I think our long-term rental requests are about to skyrocket. Actually, I know they are. They already are. People are saying, "Hey, the moment I can get down there, I'm coming. Find me a rental." Now we don't have that many long-term rental places down here, of course, but hey, maybe our new business idea, we could do quarantine housing.
That's right.
Fly to Costa Rica. You got to hang out here for 2 weeks.
Yeah. A little slide
that was
on
a
the
bad
window.
joke.
No, but I, you know, there's definitely the chance for this to be a win in terms of Nosara getting back on its feet sooner than other areas. You know, I think
I agree.
Nosara is so much more than, you know, just a warm climate where you can, you know, drink pina coladas or whatever. It's a place that speaks to people's values and how they want to live and who are prioritizing a healthy lifestyle. And there's no way that somebody has been quarantined for weeks or a month at a time and isn't coming out of that with a desire to move in that direction. And so it's just a timing issue. It's just a practical issue of the control around this thing.
Beverly Kitson, I don't know if you caught her podcast, but she speaks of the vortex. Because I asked her, the person who bought the very first lot in the Playas de Nosara project, Beverly, why do people keep coming here? And she swears there's a vortex of some sort, some way.
Right.
I imagine if that's true, I imagine the pull is going to be pretty strong on a whole lot of people all around the world who want to get here right now.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Well, hey, any good jokes, thoughts, ideas, anything you want to share while you have this platform before we sign off?
That's it, man. I appreciate it. I love what you're doing. And yeah, I don't know. Let's do it again sometime soon.
Yeah. Hopefully I can see you in person. Hopefully in the water. Jeez, man. I need to.
Yeah.
I've never been so eager to pull into a closeout barrel as I am right now.
Anything, body surf, you know.
Something.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I speaking about people having these, you know, this time to reflect and all that, and that's not been a small one for me. You know, it's like you live here and you can surf every day, and it gets real easy to not surf every day because there's always going to be more waves. And I tell you what, I for one will be surfing more than I have been. So
I'm just my
don't
intuition's
don't know what you got till it's gone.
You're right. My intuition's telling me right now we both really need to stop complaining because we're both from Florida, and there used to never ever be any surf, and in the past forever or however long we've been here, there's waves every day, and now they've went away. So now we're complaining.
Yeah,
it does hurt though.
For sure.
It does hurt though. Any advice out there for people to stay sane right now while we're still in the quarantine period? What should people be doing?
Oh, I mean, I don't know what people should be doing. I know my network is everyone's just turning to different physical activities, exercise. I've got, you know, friends buying bikes and running and, you know, attacking it in that way of burning some energy. And if I'm going to be cooped up, when I do get back into the water, I'm going to get back into the water in the best shape I've been in years.
I'm on the same trip. I bought a punching bag, and I sit there and just
that's good.
Punch it and kick it all day long.
That's working on multiple levels. It's physical and mental health in that one.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would like to paddle and surf some. It's going to be good to get out there in a lot better shape, though. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on. And
All right, man.
sorry about your last episode. We'll get that thing edited, or maybe we'll release it in parts or something, because we did have some good stuff in there.
Okay.
That's on me. But thank you for hopping on this time, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right, man. Good luck. Thanks, Rich.